We were in the 13th shloka of Laghu Vakya Vritti. So till now, the teacher has told us that those who are desirous of, longing for the experience of the pure consciousness, which is nothing but mukti, moksha, enlightenment, what they should be doing in their seat of meditation, the teacher has told us. Sit in the seat of meditation, and we are supposed to arrest the flow of thoughts. So the present thought moves away into the past, the future thought should not again come into the present. So like that, if we can create a little space over there or some time gap between successive thoughts, then we are in a no thought state. So no thought state means we are transcended the mind, we have gone beyond the mind. The mind is nothing but the reflecting medium. So therefore the reflected medium has been transcended. And therefore what remains over there? Only pure consciousness remains. We will be able to experience our own true essential nature. What we really are. What is it that we are all? We are all. We are the pure consciousness, the Shuddha Chaitanya. Then the next question, the doubt that we can get is, if when we realize that we are the pure consciousness, till now we were only the reflected consciousness, we were a Jivatma, and that identity was so strong for all of us. Our Nama, Rupa, Guna, Kriya was very, very strong for, in fact, that was our reality. So when we experience our own true essential nature, the pure consciousness, where did the Jivatma go suddenly? Because our masters say when the ego dies, there alone can the experience of Brahman be. So ego dying over there, ego dying means Jivatma over there. What happens to the Jivatma? Does he really die? Because after realizations, we see our masters coming back and remaining in our society for our own welfare and well-being. Loka Sangraha. So what happened to the reflected consciousness? What happened to the Jivatma? That question, that doubt can come to us. That is what the teacher told us or explained to us in the first half of the 13th verse. So just as when we are in front of a mirror, before we were in front of the mirror, we were only one. I, the Jivatma, with which we are very, very solid, identified with. If we are that, there is no doubt about it at all. When the reflecting medium, the mirror comes in front of us, then we see two. Exactly how we are, the same features we see in the mirror. So it looks like there are two me's, two of us, the same person, dual now. And then so there are two. And when we remove the reflecting medium, the mirror, then what happens to that image over there, which looks so real? When we moved our limbs, the reflected image in the mirror also moved its limbs. So just as we are real, alive, with movement, similarly the image also seems to be alive. The image also seems to have movement over there. Where did it go? Now, when the mirror was there in front of us, it did not create the image. It can't create. All that happened was because of its nature, the very nature of the mirror. We ourselves saw ourselves over there. So it looks like from us, we the primary source, from us the reflected image was born, if we may say so like that, and there we saw the reflected image, our own reflected image in the mirror. When the mirror is removed, what happened to the reflected image? It just disappears back. Where did it disappear? Because it's become null and void now. Where did it go? It can't go anywhere. It did not come from anywhere, and neither did it go anywhere. It arose from the very source. Our reflected image has got no reality apart from us. The reflected image drew everything from our own self, which who we were standing in front of the mirror. So therefore we can say the reflected image came from the source, which is we ourselves, and when the mirror was removed, the reflected image just disappeared into us, disappeared into the very source from which it arose. Similarly, the teacher told us in the 13th shloka, when realization happens to a person, then there can be a doubt for all of us. For the realized person, there won't be any doubt. But we are asking the question over here, and questions are asked only at the intellectual level. So with our intellect, we are asking the teacher, sir, what happened to that Jivatma? So who had all the thoughts, who was transacting in the realm of thoughts? So therefore the teacher told us, he is nobody, the reflected consciousness or the Jivatma is not separate from the pure consciousness, not separate from the Shuddha Chaitanya. Because there was a factor or an equipment or a medium called a reflecting surface, the mind, yes, it was there. Jivatma was very, very evident for us, and because the Jivatma is evident, then we have all the transactions. But the moment realization happens, and a person in the seat of meditation realizes that he or she is the pure consciousness, the Jivatma, the teacher says, just disappears into the Paramatma. The reflected consciousness just disappears into the pure consciousness. They both become one. So that Jivatma who had so many thoughts, was transacting in that realm of thoughts, ultimately he is not separate from, he is not other than that pure consciousness which is always devoid of thoughts. There are two now. Pure consciousness in the no thought realm, devoid, completely devoid of thoughts. Reflected consciousness which is fully in the realm of thoughts. The teacher says both are one and the same, because it just disappeared into perfectly. There was not even a millionth of a second difference for interval of time for it to disappear into its own source. Therefore he says both of them are one and the same. When the mind has been moved away, when the thoughts have all been controlled and arrested and restrained over there, the Jivatma, which we were saying I, disappears into the pure consciousness. What is pure consciousness? Another word for it is Brahman. So therefore, the Mahavakya over there, Aham Brahmasmi. So in the last two the last two lines of the 13th verse, that is what the teacher is telling us. This is what was being taught to us all through the verses that we have already gone through. That is why the teacher called it, Adi Shankara has called it as Vakya Vritti, which is the Vakya that he was dealing with, which he was explaining to us all, on which was this entire exposition, all the 12 and a half verses over here. That Mahavakya is Aham Brahmasmi. There are 4 great statements. There are 4 Mahavakyas, each one picked up from 1111 Veda. It shows to us our entire, or it indicates to us our entire spiritual journey. One of the Mahavakyas is Aham Brahmasmi. And what is it? It is an Anubhava Vakya. The person over there has successfully restrained the thoughts, arrested the flow of thoughts, therefore transcended the mind, and therefore has completely experienced who he really is. And who is he really? He is none other than the pure consciousness, which itself got reflected in the mind, and then it became a Jivatma, and then we transacted in our familiar world of things and beings. So therefore the teacher says this Aham Brahmasmi Vakya. Each one of them is called as a Vakya. Vritti means to expose, to take every word in the Vakya and to explain it to us, so that we can understand completely what it is trying to indicate to us. Because if we go into the Padartha or the word meaning, we won't be able to understand it. I am Brahman. When we say I, it means the Jivatma who is talking over there. Because we always say I am so and so, I live over here, this is my religion, this is my state, this is my qualification. So I represents for us Jivatma. Brahman is the pure consciousness, the Paramatma. How can both be the same? Both are completely different from each other. The characteristics are completely different, opposite. We are all, we know, mortal, limited, conditioned. We are in a space-time world subject to cause-effect relationship. We are in a cause-effect world, transacting in a cause-effect world. Whereas Paramatma, or pure consciousness, the Shuddha Chaitanya in us, the Brahman in us, is immortal, unlimited, unconditioned, all-pervading, without any qualities. So beyond space-time, there is no cause-effect relationship which can bind the Brahman. So how can both be the same? But if we go through the word meaning, Padartha, it will not add to any meaning. We won't be able to understand it at all. Therefore the Lakshyartha, the teacher has to completely explain to us what is I over there, what is am over there, and what is Brahman over there. So a small little text which explains to us a Vakya is called as Vritti. Therefore, this is called as this text is called as, it's a small text, 18 verses. That's why he calls it Laghu Vakya Vritti. Herein the teacher has already explained to us what I stands for, what Brahman stands for, and also how can the I completely merge itself with Brahman and become one with it. So therefore he said, this is what has been now told to us or taught to us in and through all the verses that we have already gone through. The 14th verse. Savikalpaka chidyoham brahmaikam nirvikalpakam swata siddha vikalpaste nirodhavya prayatnataha. Again, the first two lines of the verse is what we have already gone through. Savikalpaka chidyoham. Vikalpa means thoughts. So Savikalpaka means we who are transacting in a realm of thoughts. Our thoughts alone afterwards grossify and become actions. So therefore the teacher is saying that entity which we were saying as I, the Jivatma, is none other than that Nirvikalpa Brahma. Ekam, one and the same they are. They're actually they're not two at all. They're one and the same. How can they be one and the same? All the shlokas that we have gone through, the verses that we have gone through is indicating it to us. And we should contemplate on what the teacher has told us in the seat of meditation. And do what he has told us as an exercise. If we do that, yes, experience is possible. So therefore, that Jivatma himself, Jivatma who had all the thoughts, means who was experiencing the thought world. He is none other than that Nirvikalpa Brahma. Eka means one and the same. They are really not two at all. It's not that somebody was there and then Brahman was there and then this Jivatma realized. So two factors were there and then the two factors became one. They are not two at all. Brahman alone is real. The Jivatma is apparent reality. It is not the real reality. Absolute reality. Absolute reality is only pure consciousness. It alone was, it is, and it shall continue to be. What about the Jivatma or the reflected consciousness? It never was earlier. Now it is there. And after some time it will cease to exist. Even in the deep sleep, we cease to exist. The Jivatma is not present when we are in our deep sleep state. So therefore it is an apparent reality. It really doesn't exist at all. Like mirage waters don't exist, but we see it. So therefore the teacher is saying seeing is not believing over here. We are seeing it, but it is not there. Waters are not there, but we are seeing it on the road on a hot day, the mirage waters. Similarly, whatever we are experiencing about ourselves, which we say as I, the teacher says investigate into it, inquire into it, deeply contemplate on it. You will realize that you don't exist at all. It's a myth. The ego doesn't exist at all. So something which is not existing, we have given to it a reality, solid reality. So therefore the teacher says investigate into it. So therefore they are not two at all. Even before realization they are one. Even before somebody told us it's really not water over there, but then there was no water, mirage waters. So similarly, even before realization, it was not there, but it is a superimposition. It's like to the shadow we have given a reality. To the mirage waters we have given a reality. Similarly, we have taken the Jivatma to be solid, real, which is not true. It was never there at all. When will we know that? The teacher says realize. When you enter into that state of mukti, and then when you look back, you will see that it never was there. It never was, and therefore this entire world of things and being external, wherein the Jivatma was interacting and transacting with, everything ceases. That is what Adi Shankara in Viveka Chudamani, he dramatizes it. He says, just now there was a world in which I was transacting. Where has the world gone now? And where was the person who was transacting over there? Nothing seems to be there at all. What is there? Only I am there. Who is that I? Pure consciousness, Brahman alone. So that's what is being, again, for emphasis, the teacher has again picked it up over here. So he says that Jivatma who was transacting in the world of thoughts is none other than, not separate from, the Nirvikalpa Brahman. Both of them are actually one and the same. There are really no two at all. From the highest perspective, there are no two at all. There is only one. Even though we are seeing two, there is no. Even though we are seeing mirage water, there is no water over there. So therefore, what should we do? Swata siddha vikalpaste. But now, sir, we can tell the teacher, my thoughts are very, very real to me. They are solid for me. I can't put them into a category of false, myth, virtual. It doesn't cease to exist. For us, solid, it exists. And those thoughts, like I said, grossify into actions. So therefore, the teacher is saying, all the vikalpaha, swata siddha, they're all there, true, true, true. We are in a realm of thoughts. We saw that. There is no break at all. Thoughts just keep flowing continuously. If there is a break between two successive thoughts, we would have entered into the state of samadhi. We would have entered into realization of who we truly are. So therefore, it is continuous. It's like a wall, continuous wall, which hides us or veils us from what we really are. So therefore, those thoughts which are very, very self-evident, swata siddhaha, they are very, very true for us, they are very evident for us, they are solid, real for us, real in quotes. The teacher says, prayatnataha, put in lot of effort. Effort over here is not physical. Effort is all in the seat of meditation. So he says, put in. And what should we do? The teacher has already told us earlier. So put in all. Yatna means to strive for. Prayatna, prakarshena yatna. Total all-out effort we have to put in. Because it's not easy. Since life, so many janmas, we have been programmed like this. And suddenly the teacher is saying, you are not Jivatma, you are Paramatma. So it's very difficult. Even if we read and then sit down and try to understand it and digest it intellectually, we may understand it also, but still to put it into practice and realize is very, very difficult. So therefore, you have to strive. Totally, you have to prayatna. Prayatna means all out effort should be there. What should we do? Nirodhavyaha prayatnataha. So therefore, it should be restrained. What should be restrained? Thought flow should be restrained, which is very, very evident for all of us, because we are thoughts and thoughts are we. So therefore, put in all your effort, the teacher says, and learn to restrain your thoughts. Learn to arrest the flow of thoughts. If we can learn to arrest our thoughts, restrain the thought flow in us, then we would have created a sufficient space or a distance or a time interval wherein we can peep into the other side, onto the other side, and then experience who we truly are, is what the 14th shloka is telling us now. Is this possible? We can ask. The teacher says, yes, it is possible. In the 15th shloka, he says, Shakya sarva nirodhena samadhir yoginam priyaha tada shaktau kshanam rudva shraddalur brahmatatmanaha. Shakya sarva nirodhena. It is possible, the teacher says. It is not impossible, but it is difficult. It is difficult is different. It is impossible is something different. So it is not impossible, it is possible. What is possible? Shakya sarva nirodhen. It is possible to restrain totally, completely all thoughts. The teacher is telling us over here. And not just for one moment. He told us practice 1 moment, 2 moments, 3 moments, and then extend it. So if we can continue, extend it, extend the time interval or the gap between 2 successive thoughts, where will we be in? We will be in the state of samadhi. Sir, is it possible? He says, yes, it is possible. Shakya sarva nirodhena. So once we are able to completely restrain the flow of thoughts in us, the teacher says you will be able to enter into that state of samadhi, that pure conscious state, the Shuddha Chaitanya state, which we truly are. Yoginam priyaha. Priya means very dear. Dear to whom? Dear to the yogis, to all the Jivan Muktas. They are all reveling in that state of samadhi. Samadhi doesn't mean just sitting down over there and not doing anything. All our masters, when they are amidst us, working for our own welfare and well-being, so much of activity may be coming out of them. We see them always, we never see them sometimes, taking rest. For the society, they are contributing so much, they are doing so much. But in what state are they in? They are in the state of samadhi, sthita prajna, which comes in the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna asks Krishna. Asthita prajna means one who is in samadhi. How does he talk? How does he walk? How does he conduct himself? It's not talking, eating, walking. A Jivan Mukta also talks like us, walks like us, eats like us, sleeps like us. He is asking something beyond over there. When a Jivan Mukta, after his realization, comes back into our own familiar world and stays amidst us, and helps to lift the society, helps to lift individual, how will he be? Is what Arjuna asked Krishna, and Krishna explained to him. The state of a Jivan Mukta, the state of a person who is in samadhi. So once having attained to the state of samadhi, or once having attained to the state of becoming, recognizing, experiencing the pure consciousness, a Jivan Mukta, he is reveling in that state. Even when he is amidst us and working just like us, maybe we see he is also working with his hands, just like we work with our own hands. But he is reveling in his own state of realization. Nandati, nandati, nandatya. Put him anywhere, in conducive circumstances or not conducive circumstances. Conducive and non-conducive from our standpoint. For him, there is nothing like conducive or non-conducive, dislike or like. He has gone beyond the dual world. The pairs of opposites, he has transcended them. So therefore, he is reveling in a one without a second state, which he has become. Therefore, what will his nature be? How will he be? He will be always in that revel. He will always be reveling within himself. That's the meaning of yoginam priyaha. It's a very dear state to them. They'll never ever come out of it. They can't come out of it. Because why? It's their own true nature. How can anybody come out of his or her own true nature? Not possible. Even at our own level. Supposing somebody says, I think your name is this. No, my name is this. We are very convinced of who we are. Similarly, a Jivan Mukta or a yogi knows for sure, he has experienced it. It is not second-hand information. Somebody told him he is Brahman. He has realized within himself that he is Brahman, a one without a second state, and he is just reveling in it. For reveling, we don't need any other factor other than us to revel in. Krida and Ramana, there are two words. For to do Ramana in, to revel in, we don't need anything other than ourselves. But for Krida or sport, we need something other than us to play with, to entertain ourselves with. He is reveling within himself. That Samadhi state, a person will be able to enter. The teacher says, Shakyaha, it is possible. How is it possible, sir? Sarva Nirodhena. By restraining all the thoughts that are there in us. So we have to move beyond the realm of thoughts. We have to move beyond the realm of our mind and intellect. They are the ones who are the veiling for us. And therefore we are not able to recognize and experience who we truly are. But if this also is not possible, actually with the previous shloka, because the teacher told us Vakya Aham Brahmasmi, its exposition is already over for us. Now the teacher is concluding everything. So whatever doubts we may get, even before we express it, he is clarifying it all for us. So therefore he says, we can ask him, sir, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. But in spite of it, we are really inclined towards spirituality. We do want to walk the path of spirituality. We do want to realize who we really are in our own essential nature. We do want it. And we are putting in the effort from our standpoint. How much ever is our capacity, capability, ability, we are. But then very often it doesn't succeed. It's not impossible, but because we know it's so difficult for us. So in case we tell the teacher, sir, I think it's not possible for me. Very, very difficult. It is not impossible. We know it is possible, but for me, with my effort, I sincerely long for it, but then still. The teacher has an answer for all of us also. Tad ashaktao, in case you are not able to take up to this spiritual sadhana that the teacher has already told us, of doing what? Of completely arresting the flow of thought. It's very difficult. We are actually, it's like going against the current. It is very exhausting. Taking a U-turn is very difficult. So it's very exhausting, it is very tiring. Sometimes we may not, our constitution may be such that we will not have the capacity and the ability to maintain that no thought state in us and enter into the state of samadhi. So if it is not possible for a person, will the teacher give us up? He will not give us up. He says, in case you are not able to do that, at least for one kshana try. Kshanam mridva, with faith, shraddha. Have intense faith in what the teacher is saying. Have intense faith in what our scriptures are saying. The Vakya Aham Brahmasmi has been taken from our scriptures only. So therefore we should have faith in our scriptures. We should have faith in the Mahavakya. We should have faith in the teachings of our own Guru. So the teacher says with intense Shraddha. Shraddha is not the ordinary belief. We say, I have faith, but then when challenges come, when troubles come, when hurdles come, very often our belief breaks. Shraddha is not like that. In Viveka Chudamani, Sankara gives a beautiful verse on what is Shraddha. So he says, after having heard from the teacher or having read the scriptures, Shastra, and then Guru Vakya, to connect with it, completely 100% to connect with what the teacher is telling us and what the scripture is telling us, that itself is Shraddha, he says. And where is it? Should I develop this Shraddha from somewhere else? Should I go somewhere and buy a little bit of Shraddha? Or will somebody help me to create faith in me? It's there already in us. It's latent. It is dormant. We have to revive it. We have to manifest it. So therefore the teacher says, in case you are not able to do this Sarva Nirodhena, to completely restrain all thoughts and enter into the state of Samadhi. If we can enter, we have become a Jivan Mukta. But the second state, second aspect, in case for whatever reason we are not able to completely eliminate all our thoughts from our inner equipment and get into the no thought state and reach the state of Samadhi, then he says with full faith that Brahma and Atman are one and the same. Brahmatmana, Brahma and Brahman and Atman. Atman means I, individual, I. So, with full faith in what the teacher has told us. The teacher has told us, I am Brahman. Means each one of us, we have to say to ourselves, I am Brahman. With complete faith in Guru Vakya, in Shastra Vakya, in the Mahavakya, with lot of faith, he says, at least practice and try to see if you can get into that no thought state at least for a moment. Kshana means moment. One kshana, one moment, just be. Don't become is what our acharyas tell us. Now constantly we are always becoming something. I've become something. Now we've all become a satsangi. After that, supposing we go to the kitchen to cook our dinner, we become a cook. If we go out to the market, we become a customer. If we go for a walk, evening walk, we become a walker. If we are driving our car, we become a driver. When our children are there, we become a parent with respect to them. If our parents are there, we become children with respect to them. Constantly we are becoming something, we are becoming something, we are becoming something. That becoming something is called bhava. Bhava is to become. So therefore we say bhava sagara. This constantly becoming means we are changing our role. Constantly we are changing our role. Just a few minutes back we were not a satsangi, we were something else. So now we have become a satsangi. After some time we become something else. So constantly we are becoming something means we are changing our role. Changing role is very exhausting. It's not so much physically we are changing. Within us, everything has to be changed. Our identity. I had become this, means let's say a satsangi, now I have to become something else. So the whole role has to change. It's like in a drama, one person is doing two roles. So he goes inside, changes the costume, changes the makeup, and how he is going to talk, what he is going to talk, everything has to change. So he has to forget what role he had done earlier. It's quite exhausting for one person to play two roles. We are playing multiple roles in one day. Why in 1 hour we can play multiple roles? Isn't it not exhausting? It's very exhausting and very tired. That is why samsara is very, very difficult, exhausting for us. Bhava means that. So constantly we are becoming something, we are becoming something, and we are becoming something. The teacher is saying, don't become anything. You just be. What should I be, sir? Be what you are. What am I, sir? The teacher has already told us, you are not even a jivatma. You are not the reflected consciousness, but you are the pure consciousness just behind it, which supported the jivatma. You are Brahman himself. Playing the role of playing so many roles over there. Playing so many roles, will not anybody get tired? So therefore, don't become, just be. And what is that just be? I am not what I am, what I was thinking till now. But I am nothing else but Brahman itself. So the oneness between Atma means individual self. Brahman means the universal self, the totality. So therefore, Brahman is not separate from Atman. Paramatma is not separate from Jivatma. Paramatma and Jivatma are one and the same. And in fact, there are no two at all. Paramatma alone is. There is no Jivatma at all from the highest standpoint. Therefore, with full faith in the Vakya, with full faith in what the scriptures are telling us, in what the teacher is advising us over here, in what the Guru is telling us over here, with full faith, the teacher says, practice this entering into a no thought state at least for a moment. At least for a moment, be is what the teacher is telling us all. So what, we can ask the teacher, you said be, but then once, okay, because he said Kshana, Eka, Dvi, Tri, earlier the teacher had told us all. So one Kshana, even one Kshana to realize who we are is very, very, very difficult. One Kshana. But supposing we can get into that one Kshana, what is the use, sir? I will not enter into Samadhi. No, we can argue with him. Then isn't all my sadhana a waste? One Kshana, I got a glimpse of who I am really. Then what happens next? Then the teacher says, 60, that one Kshana of realizing who we are is enough. Is what the teacher is telling us over here. That much is enough. That one Kshana will lead to two Kshanas, will lead to three Kshanas. It's all just, it's like we have to taste it. Once we have tasted something, till now maybe we were never drinking coffee. Somebody tells us you do not know what it is, you missed out on it, the fragrance, the taste. Why don't you try it? The moment we try it, we drink the first time ever, then we can become a coffee addict. So everything happens like that. So therefore the teacher is actually saying just taste it once. For one moment, try to see if you can enter into the no thought state and experience who you truly are. That will take care of everything. Then nobody is needed. The teacher has already told, just one moment. See how beautifully he is building up our confidence over there. He says, at least one moment will you try? Then we feel like trying. He says that one moment is enough. The rest of it will happen. Everything will fall into place. In the 16th shloka, he says, Shraddhalur brahmatam swasya chintayet buddhi vrittibihi vakya vrittya yatha shakti nyatva hyabhyasyatam sada. So with faith, he says, understand, because one second we have been able to realize who we truly are. Brahmatam swasya. So in that 1 second, if we have realized who we truly are, he says, with faith, continue it. How to continue what you have told? You have already realized that Atman and Brahman are one and the same. So when that realization has happened, even intellectual appreciation also is enough. If we have got convinced intellectually, without any doubt, that yes, Atman, I, the Jivatma is Paramatma or Brahman. It's just that I am not able to realize it or experience it within me. But yes, there is a possibility. Even that much if we have gone through, the teacher says that is enough. Then what should we do? He gives us the program. Chintaye. Continuously keep thinking. Chintana means think. Think what? Where should we think? Of course in the buddhi. Mind, intellect are actually one inner equipment. So that equipment which we were using to think of everything else, the teacher says, now use it to think of what? Vritti. Vritti means thoughts. So where we were thinking of this and where we were thinking of that, all the worldly thoughts were there. We were thinking of worldly things, worldly beings, vrittis were there. The same vritti over here, he says, change it. Instead of thinking of something external, instead of thinking of the world of things and beings, just continue to think of whom. Think of whom? Think about the subject in you. Don't think of objects. Objects means things and beings. So instead of thinking of anything outside, just think of the subject. What is the subject that is there in us? The pure consciousness. So the thinking process remains the same. But we are thinking of something different. Instead of thinking of this and instead of thinking of that and worrying about what to cook for dinner and where should I go out now next, or I have to go for my walk, I hope it will not rain, all those things. I have to go to the market, buy this, buy that, teach the children, maybe they are coming from school, whatever it is. All that is chintana only, chinta. That is called worrying and brooding. Dasaru says, Anugalavu chinte jivakke. Purandara Dasaru. So thinking there is worrying and brooding. He says, ಮದುವೆಯಾದರೂ ಚಿಂತೆ, ಮದುವೆಯಾಗದಿದ್ದರೂ ಚಿಂತೆ, ಮನೆ ಇದ್ದರೂ ಚಿಂತೆ, ಮನೆ ಇಲ್ಲದಿದ್ದರೂ ಚಿಂತೆ, ಮಕ್ಕಳಿದ್ದರೂ ಚಿಂತೆ, ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಲ್ಲದ ಚಿಂತೆ, ಧನವಿದ್ದರೂ ಚಿಂತೆ, ಧನವಿಲ್ಲದ ಚಿಂತೆ. Everything is worry only. If we are married, we are worried. If we are not married, we are worried. If we have a house, we are worried. If we don't have a different type of worry. So no house, worry, of course. With the house, another set of worries. With children no children are there, one type of worry. Children are there, another set of worries. Wealth is not there, of course we are worried. We want wealth. When lot of wealth comes on also, again another set of worry. When is it that we are not worrying? When is it that we are not brooding? That's the nature of the mind. Therefore he says, Anugalavu chinte. Then what should we do? He says, finally he lists out all the chinte which will lead us to difficulty, anxiety, depression, worrying, agitation. Last line, Dasaru says, Purandara Vittalana chinte onde nischinte. He uses the word Purandara Vittalana chinte. Chinte means thinking. There the thinking process is the same. When we think of other things, worldly things, or even when we are thinking of our own body, our own mind, our own intellect, up till there, all are chinte. It is called worrying and brooding. But the same thinking process, when we turn it upon our own subject, the subject who is there in us, Saguna or Nirguna, there he says Purandara Vittala. Here it is Brahman, pure consciousness. It is a subject in us. So when the thinking process takes a U-turn and starts focusing on the very subject over there, that thinking is not called as worrying or brooding, it is called as contemplating. So the word use itself is so different. When thinking is extroverted, it is worrying and it is brooding. When the thinking process is inward, it is called as contemplating. That is uplifting. The other one is not uplifting. It makes us fall in our ladder of evolution. This will lift us up. And it can lift us up to realizing I am Brahman. So Purandara Vittalana chinte, he uses the same word chinte. Think of Purandara Vittala. When we think of Purandara Vittala, what will happen finally? It will not lead to worry or brooding or anything. Agitation, depression, anxiety, it will lead us to nischinte. If chintana is only through words, thoughts. Nischinte means no thought. So Purandara Vittalana chinte, thinking of, contemplating on the Lord, Saguna or Nirguna. Thinking on Brahman, here it is thinking about the pure consciousness, Shuddha Chaitanya. So thinking of the Shuddha Chaitanya will lead you to, finally the teacher says, no thought state, Nischinte. Why? Because when we think of the subject which is there within us, thinking of the subject is not a thought. Thinking of objects means both things and beings. Thinking of anything which is living or not, we classify it into living and non-living. From the highest standpoint, there is nothing called non-living. All are with aliveness. So therefore, we'll put it into the category of object. So when our thinking is on an object, it becomes a thought. When our own whole process of thinking is on the subject, thinking of the subject that is there within us is not a thought. That is what the greatest of philosophy. Dasaru has put it in simple words over there. Purandara Vittalana chinte nischinte. So thinking of the very presence in us because of which we are able to function physically, mentally and intellectually, the very battery in us because of which we become on bulbs. And we are able to do whatever we are doing, we are able to transact in the world outside, everything is possible. As a Jivatma, everything is possible. Why? Because of the subject in us, because of the light of consciousness in us, because of Paramatma in us, because of Brahman in us. We can call him by any name, we can give him a form also, it doesn't matter. So when the thinking process turns on upon the subject, it is not called as a thought, it is called as contemplation. So beautifully the teacher tells us, therefore one glimpse, one kshana we have been able to experience it. But supposing that also is not possible, that will lead to more kshanas wherein we can enter into the no thought state. But for all of us, what is he saying? Average person, Aam Aadmi, we are all. He says you use your same activity of the mind. You know how to think, yes sir. From morning we get up till we go off to sleep, we are only thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. Use that same process, the teacher said, your own thinking process. Instead of thinking about objects, turn it around and think on the subject. In a sentence, there is an object subject. So don't think of objects that lead you to samsara. Think of the subject. When we think of the subject, the Paramatma who is there in us, immediately it will release us from all bondages, because we will be led to a no thought state. Purandara Vitalana Chinte will lead us to Nischinte. It will lead us to the no thought state, which the teacher was talking about in all the verses earlier. Next two lines over here, Vakya Vrittya Yatha Shakti. But there should be something to guide us. What is it that should guide us? Vakya Vrittya. Follow what has been told to you till now is what the teacher is telling us. We have to follow what the Vakya, Mahavakya is instructing us. But when somebody instructs or initiates us into the Mahavakya and say, Tattvamasi, you are that, or they say, I am Aham Brahmasmi, we will not be able to understand it. Therefore, we needed a vritti over here, Vakya Vritti over here. Therefore, the teacher says, Vakya Vrittya Yatha Shakti, whatever be your ability, capacity and capability. So beautifully the teacher comes down to our level. He knows our limitations. He knows our conditionings. He knows our constitution so beautifully. Body, mind, intellect, how they are, the teacher knows. So therefore, Yatha Shakti, in whatever capacity or ability you are able to understand, because each of us also, how we understand the teacher will be different. The teacher is expounding to everybody, but how we grasp it, how we assimilate it, how we digest it, and how we put it into practice also is different. So, Vakya Vrittya Yatha Shakti, having understood the exposition of this Vakya called Aham Brahmasmi, according to your own capacity, capability, as much as possible, the teacher says, Sada contemplate. Contemplate on, having understood, on what should we contemplate on? We should contemplate on the Shuddha Chaitanya, or on the pure consciousness in us. Abhyasa is the word used over here. Abhyasa means practice. So clearly we have to understand, clarity should be there, conviction should be there. He says, never mind, use your own realm of thoughts and enter into the spiritual path. So all that we have to do is, lots of thoughts are there in us. He says, don't worry about the thoughts in you. He's not even telling us to arrest the flow of thoughts. He's telling us to change the direction of the thoughts. Instead of thinking of the world, instead of thinking of objects, just turn towards the subject. This is the third level. Don't think of objects, think only of the subject. And how should I keep thinking about it? As it has been given in the entire exposition of this Mahavakya Aham Brahmasmi. Just keep thinking of Brahman. Sada means always. Always means what? We want to ask the teacher. So again over here in the 17th shloka, the teacher is telling us, Tat Chintanam, Tat Katanam, Anyonyam, Tat Prabodhanam, Etad Eka Paratvam Cha, Brahma Bhyasam Vidur Buddhaha. Plural, Buddhaha, wise people. Wise people means those who are on the spiritual path. Those who have felt that this is enough and I really want to enter into that God state of consciousness. So a wise person, having understood all this, what will he do? Brahmabhyas, Before that, he said, he has already told us what to do with our thoughts. So even if you can't arrest the thoughts, even for a moment, the teacher says, turn all your thoughts, turn all your attention, instead of onto the object, turn it onto the subject. And keep practicing, keep practicing, keep practicing. What all should I do, sir? Tat chintanam. We've already seen it. Keep on thinking about it, contemplating on it. Because if it's an object, we'll say worrying and brooding. I'm only worrying about this. But now we have turned it onto the subject. Therefore, chintan, which will lead us to nischinta afterward, we have to use the word contemplate. So, tat chintanam, contemplate on it, constantly keep thinking about it. Tat kathanam, talk about it. Anyonyam tat prabodhanam, when we are in a group, that's why the importance to satsang. So, when 2 of us meet, 3 of us meet, like-minded people meet, spiritual seekers meet, what will we discuss about? We will only discuss about it. We will talk about it. When we talk about it, what happens? We have understood it. Maybe there are some places over there, some gaps over there. Doubts may be there. This is not clear. That is not clear. All of them, the doubts will precipitate, crystallize and precipitate. And therefore, when we discuss it, either with others, other seekers, or we go to the teacher, all those doubts will get clarified. So, the advantage of satsang. So, we discuss it, we teach it not that I am a teacher, it's not like that at all. When we talk about it, to be able to talk about it or express it to somebody, first of all, at least we should have understood even at least a little bit. Intellectually, at least we should have understood, only then we can put it across to somebody. So, have I understood? I try to explain it to somebody. Then I will know really whether I have understood it or not, even at an intellectual level. So, therefore, the teacher says constantly contemplate on it, constantly talk about it, constantly we read about it, constantly we hear about it. All of them are included there. And constantly try to be in satsanga. The importance of satsanga is very, very important. Etad ekaparatvam. Like this, if we do this, what will happen? Focusing will come, concentration will come. More and more and more and more we will get tuned up to Brahma Vritti. Thoughts on Brahman. Thoughts on pure consciousness. When the frequency of thoughts on Brahman increases, the frequency of thoughts on other worldly things, objects, slowly will start decreasing. The frequency of thinking about other things will gradually decrease, and this will pick up. The momentum will pick up. So, the frequency of thinking about Brahman or pure consciousness will slowly come. Focusing will be there, concentration will be there. Whatever we are doing, we will be able to do, even when we are doing worldly activities, we will be able to do it centered around what we are contemplating on. God-centered. That is what Purandara Dasuru again says. Narajanma bandaga nalige iruvaga Krishnayana barade. So, instead of saying pure consciousness, Brahman, he is saying Krishna over there. Do whatever you are doing, but keep Krishna Vritti in you. Instead of keeping some other Vritti or thinking of something else, when you are getting up, he says instead of saying something, say Krishna Krishna and get up. If you have eaten too much, don't say something else, but say Krishna Krishna over. So, for everything it is Krishna Krishna or Rama Rama or Shiva Shiva, or it is Brahman Brahman. So, Brahman Vritti, its frequency should increase and increase. It will pick up momentum. Focusing will be there, concentration will be there. Do this Brahma Abhyasa. It's a new word. Abhyasa Yoga is a new word which we come across in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna, I think in 2 places the Lord uses the word Abhyasa Yoga. Practice itself he calls as yoga. We know there is Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. So many types of yogas are there. Raja Yoga. But Abhyas itself, Bhagavan calls it as yoga. What is yoga? Yoga is just simply to leave the lower and connect with the higher. Yoga means to unite with, to yoke with. To yoke with what? To yoke with the higher. To yoke or connect with the higher, obviously we have to leave everything which is lower. That is called as yoga. But when we try to do that, we keep failing. Bhagavan says keep on practicing. 6th chapter, Arjuna told him, it's very difficult, Krishna, to contain the mind. He says, Abhyasa, Vairagya. He said, Vairagya means discipline for us. Change. Worldly activities also we restrain. Thoughts also, they're going in different directions, we restrain it. And channel all the mental rays. Mental rays are thoughts. They're scattered in so many directions. We collect them all together and focus them at one point. Sun's rays are scattered. So if we keep a piece of paper there, it will not burn. But if we bring a magnifying glass and then if we convert the sun's rays with the help of the magnifying glass, paper will burn. Similarly, for intensity to get picked up in us, for us to realize who we truly are, this focusing and concentration should come. And for that, all of this is given as sadhana for us. Chintana, Kathanam, Tat Prabodhanam, mutually talk about it. So, gradually, Krishna Vritti should become more. Rama Vritti or Shiva Vritti must become more. Or Devi, whoever is our Ishta Devata. Or Brahman Vritti should keep on becoming more and more and more and more. It should pick up momentum so that all the other Vrittis will slowly recede in us. They will move away from us. This the teacher calls as Brahma Abhyasa. The practice of Brahman, he says. Practice of trying to reach out to that state called Brahman within ourselves. So wise people will pick it up. Should do it, he says. So how many options have been given to us? Even if we say, no sir, I am fully drowned in worldly thoughts. He says, never mind. Thoughts are there? Yes. Slowly change the direction of thoughts. That is why we need that Antaranga Shuddhi a little bit in us. Because quality of thoughts, quantity of thoughts and direction of thoughts. So you know how to think. We are very proficient and efficient in thinking about everything that is there in the world outside and about ourselves also. He just says, don't think of all those things, think of Paramatma. Is it difficult to think? No, because we know how to think. In fact, we are a thinking, a Jivatma, or we all are nothing but a thinking instrument. Beyond that, we do not know anything else. It's our thinking that makes us transact in the world outside. So therefore, so beautifully he is given as an option and says, yes, you are the thinking type. Don't think of other things. Don't think of objects. Just keep thinking of the subject. Slowly, soon enough. When it will happen, it all depends. It can happen in the next moment. It can happen afterward. It all depends on the focusing and the concentration. How we move the magnifying glass so that at the focus of the lens over there will be the paper. Immediately it will burn. But if the distance is not all right, the paper will not burn. Even with the sun's rays and even with the magnifying glass. So if we want to reach that state of mukti moksha, the teacher says focusing and concentration is very important, and for that use whatever you have around you and about you. And what is it? My thought world. My asset or my wealth called the thoughts. Same thing, use it. Instead of wasting it on objects, then instead of that, he just says, think of, use the wealth of thoughts or the asset called thoughts, and we invest it on the very subject in it. Finally, yes, we will be able to know what it will do to us. The last shloka of the Laghu Vakya Vritti. Dehatmadhivad brahmatmadhi dhardhe krita krityata yada tadayam mriyatam muktosau natra samshayaha. How long should I do? All questions will come to us, doubts will come to us. The teacher knows. That's the beauty of a teacher. So a doubt can come to us. How long should I practice, sir? The teacher knows. Even before we express our doubt, the teacher knows our doubt and he clarifies it for us. So therefore, how long should I practice this tat chintanam, tat kathanam and all that? How long should we do it? The teacher says, right now you are all a dehatmadhi. Di means buddhi, mind and intellect. Right now, for us, I am, Atman means me, the individual self. I am the body. Deha means physical body. I am the body and the body is me. Dehakara vrittis. So that is so strong in all of us. If anybody shakes us up when we are in deep sleep and then, shakes us and says, who are you? If we get up over there, sure, we will tell our name also. And what is our name? Name is connected to the body and the body is connected to the name. So 24/7, 365 days, we are all programmed to be a body, physical body. Of course, in that there is a mind, there is an intellect. We are so convinced that we are Deha, our Atman. Atman means I am nothing beyond the body. That is what we are. So Dehatma Buddhi is very strong in all of us. Very, very, very strong. We are that. The teacher says, until the Brahmatma Buddhi becomes as strong as your Dehatma Buddhi, continue. So we should reach a state wherein if somebody asks us anything, we should be able, not that we should open our mouth and say, I am God, I am Brahman. That conviction, that realization and experience must come to us that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am not the Jivatma, I am not what I thought I was. But on the other end, what am I? I am Brahman. And it's not somebody telling us, it's not mechanically repeating it. We can repeat it any number of times we want now. It's a conviction in us, it's an experience in us. Once we experience, we know nothing can afterwards shake us. Anybody can tell us anything afterwards. No, sir, Mahatma, you are a body, I am seeing your body going through ill. Mahatma says, no, I am not the body. I am not the body. Body is going through something. What does it matter to me? I am Brahman. Far removed from the body which you are seeing, and that is going through something. What have I got to do with it? So to that extent, so how strongly we are now connected with our Dehatma Buddhi, like that Brahmatma Buddhi must come to us. Means 24/7, 365 days, everything it should only be I am Brahman and I am Brahman. Not saying, not an intellectual appreciation, but it should become a experience in us. Till then the teacher says practice. Until that realization dawns to us and it stays with us. It doesn't come in flashes and go. Eka kshana, no. It should sustain in us. Wherever we are, irrespective of space, time, situation, it should just stay. It will stay with us because it's everlasting. Until that becomes an experience solid in us, he says you have to continue. And once that happens, what will be the state of a person? Krita krityata. Such a person is fulfilled. Because there is nothing more afterwards to gain, nothing more to reach. That is the ultimate. After having reached that, there is nothing more to do to reach something beyond that. It is a climax, like it is the peak of evolution. After that, there is nothing. So therefore, what will the person feel within himself? A state of total absolute contentment, fulfillment, satisfaction, that I have reached what I should reach. I have reached that which I truly am. Till now, I was not that at all. I was actually impersonating. I was playing some other role over there. Why I played it out? Don't. Such a person becomes a Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta means one who is liberated even while living. So once that happens, a person realizes the ego in the person is dead. Small I is dead. But when small I is dead, is everything dead? No, capital I alone is. That is called as a spiritual death, the mystical death. When a person realizes, he doesn't quit the physical body immediately. He is still in his physical body, which he was in before realization, comes back to work for the community. That's why we call the person as Jivan Mukta. But over there, something is dead. What is dead over there? I, the ego, I, mind gone. Ego is dead over there. So that is called as a spiritual death. So death of the ego has happened. Yada tadayam mriyatam. Death. Both deaths are included over here. The death of the ego happens. He is already merged. The individual soul has merged with the universal soul. I am Atma Brahman. this individual self is nothing but Brahman itself. That realization has come to him and he is experiencing it and living it. Afterwards, when the physical body drops off also, already when he was in the physical body itself, he has realized. He has reached the highest. Physical body was just there hanging on to him and it just drops off. Let it drop off wherever it wants to drop off. He is not bothered. Once the physical body drops off, anyway he was realized, that realization will continue. Muktosau natra samshayah. He is the one who is liberated. He is liberated. He is liberating is what the teacher is emphasizing over here. Still any doubt? The teacher says, Natra samshayah, na atra samshayah. May you not entertain any more doubts. And also, don't ever doubt. Because the scriptures are telling us, our acharyas, teachers who have walked the path and reached that state, experienced it, they have come back and they are reporting it to us. So it's not some fancy tale that is being told to us. So therefore, may you not have any doubts with regard to this, is what the teacher is telling us over here. So with this, the Vakya Vritti, the Vakya was Aham Brahmasmi, its exposition. Laghu, because it is all being put into just 18 verses, though they are a small number of verses, we have seen how profound it is, how deep the teacher has gone to explain to us everything. The goal was explained, who we are and what we are at this point of time has been explained, and what is the spiritual journey, the sadhana for us to reach from where we are to where we want to or where we should be reaching out to, that also has been explained to us very beautifully.